Alright everyone, just wanted to walk you through the design of my miter saw station. It's based on the plans by Jay Bates, which I highly recommend you pick up and watch his videos. It's a great skeleton for this build, and then you can modify from there. It's all 3/4 inch birch plywood, except for the faces of the drawers, which are 3/4 red oak. I tried to do the continuous grain. Also painted some components blue just to kind of break up all that wood look. Everything's got polyurethanes. Knew it was going to take a bunch of abuse. And then the exposed edges covered with walnut. So we'll start up here on the top. These cubbies that hold the power tools do not go all the way back, and that's so you can fit a 6-foot ladder back there. We've got the PT and TP holders. TP, good for blowing your nose in the garage. And Jay Bates' plans is just kind of a geometric pattern for these, and I modified it to the tools that I have. So on the far right, we've got the drill and driver. And that has the fast cap power mag on top, and then some sheet metal, so they just kind of stick into place. The DeWalt 20-volt max charger. You've got the battery nailer, the slots for the pneumatic nailers. Those are just the quick connects for the air hose. And then nails stored in the back. Got the oscillating tool, angle grinder, reciprocating saw, circular saw, and jigsaw, which need to be updated. And then I cut out a piece here so that your hand can slide freely when you're using the miter saw. Then we've got this drawer, which has some magnets on the inside that hold the circular saw blades and jigsaw blades. We've got the plunge router and a spot for pocket hole jigs. So I've got the Porter cable pocket hole jigs, couple of the freestanding Craig pocket hole jigs, and then I use the Foreman for bigger jobs. Above that, we've got a spot for the glue bot and the assortment of super glues. And then a big storage solution is what to do with offcuts. As a woodworker, it's hard to throw away anything bigger than the size of your pinky, so this is my solution to that. So starting here, everything goes all the way back to the wall. So you've got dimensional lumber, hardwoods, small cuts of plywood, slightly bigger cuts of plywood, and then these two big bays, which are 48.5 inches wide. So that way you could take end trims from full sheets of plywood and stick them right in there. Next are the drawers. So there's 24 drawers in this setup, so I figured that'd be pretty hard to remember where things are. So my solution to that was to make the drawer pulls representative of what's inside. So I tried to use antique tools for that. So here you've got a scraping tool, and you've got all of your scrapers. Everything's set in Kaizen foam, and I use the black with the white on the inside, so when you pick up a tool, you can see exactly where it goes. An old screwdriver for screwdrivers. And I used 3 coats of polyurethane on the sides, and then 2 coats on the bottom without sanding. So that kind of gives it a gritty texture. It holds everything down nicely. An old mallet for hammers, and then on the side of these drawers, painted them blue, and then put my name. It just adds a little bit of flair. So this is an old horse brush, which I consider to be a very specialized tool, and that's for my specialized tools. So a roller, riveting tool, things that only have one real use. An old wrench for sockets, nut drivers, and then these custom wrench holders that I made. And then a an old yardstick for measuring and marking, and then I left some room for expansion in most places, so you never know what kind of tool you're going to need next. The old paintbrush for paints and glues. No Kaizen foam here. I'm not really sure if I really like that yet. We'll figure that out later. So this one's pretty cool. It's a glove with a wooden skeleton and then filled with epoxy. So that's for all safety related items. And then pliers for pliers. So on the fronts here, we've got the fire extinguisher on hand and then the Diresta ice pick. It's always nice to have. There's the star of the show, the miter saw. You've got your things that you use most often. Some marking tools, safety glasses, blue painter's tape. Woodworkers use a ton of blue painter's tape. A pair of scissors and a dull pocket knife. Great for opening boxes, and your measuring tape on hand. So here is my fasteners. So this one looks like a bolt. It's got bolts inside as well as nuts, magnets, washers, things like that. The square drive, all of your pocket hole screws, and the Phillips head. It's all of your more regular common screws. And up here is a great spot for the oscillating spindle sander right on the end. So I also use the his plans, Jay Bates' plans for the miter saw stop block on top. Down here, this bank of drawers was not in his plans because he originally had this up against the wall, and I can't do that with the garage door, so I just put another bank of drawers. So we have an old sanding block, and this is the sanding drawer. So you've got your random orbital sander with the various sandpapers, and then sanding blocks with the various grits written on top so you don't have to change so often. And then say if you needed more 220, that hinge is open, you've got more 220 grit sandpaper there. Here we've got the an old hacksaw handle, and that's for hand saws. And then somebody's old custom hand plane that I picked up at a yard sale. That's going to be for hand planes, which I definitely need more of. Here, this piece of air hose is for power tool accessories. So your router bits, stato stack, air accessories, and then the planer lives under here. And then I added a shelf for the air compressor. These 4 drawers, old files and chisels, an old soldering iron. It's for things that get hot. They've got a blowtorch, glue gun, wood burner, branding iron. We've got a motherboard. That's just going to be electronics. And then a rag for rags, which also has your instruction manuals in the back. So the shop vac lives underneath there. And these 2 big drawers, we've got an old, I don't know, hand rake. I'm not a gardener. And a shovel, and that's for my wife's gardening tools. And then this piece of pipe for just kind of just some big storage items. Still trying to figure out what to do there. So all in all, this is something you can definitely do yourself. You want to pick up Jay's plans. I think they're 20 or 25 bucks from his website. And then, a lot of opportunity to customize. So let me know what you think.